What's up, everyone? I'm GKB, aka the Governor, and today on Gamers Knows Best, it's the Drive to Work discussion. Today's topic is from Chicken Spaghetti, and it's all about early access and the preview program. You know, all in all, are they really a good thing for the industry? Let's get into the video and find out. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for the outstanding support for this vlog series. I really honestly didn't think it would take off at all. I didn't really think anybody would have any interest, but you all blew me out of the water. I'm really happy about it, so we're going to continue on. As I said before in my first vlog series, please go ahead down in the comments below, put any topics you guys want to see me talk about. This topic that we're going to be talking about today is from one of the community members, so that's fantastic. So let's go ahead and get into what y'all want to hear me talk about. Alright, so what is early access, the preview program? And I'm going to throw EA access in there as well, because I think it does some things that gamers love, and similar to this, but not exactly the same thing. We'll get into that in a little bit. So like I said, I think all these programs are pretty similar, but let's go ahead and start with early access. Alright, so early access essentially is you buy a game that's in early development, it's not finished, so there's bugs, textures might be missing, all that kind of stuff. But you do get to play the game early. You do usually 9 times out of 10 get it cheaper than the full retail when it actually does release, if it does release. And you get to give feedback to the development team to steer the development, make it a game that they want to sell to you and you ultimately want to buy and play, right? That's what it's all about. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the preview program for the Xbox. Again, they do much of the same thing. On the Xbox preview program, you do get to play like an hour or two to see if you even want to, make that purchase for the early access part. The game, again, is in early development. You only get to play parts of it. There'll be missing textures, all the same stuff. Essentially, it's exactly the same thing. I don't think it's as robust as early access. They definitely don't have as many games either. So there's that. And the last one I want to talk about just briefly is EA access. Now, this isn't a early access or preview game or anything like that, but what they do is for any EA game that comes out, you get to play it 10 hours for free to test out and see if you like the game. Now, I know this is not exactly early access and the preview program, I get it, but they're doing things where before you purchase the game, you get to try it out. And I think that's really cool, and I kind of missed that from the 360. They had a lot of demos and stuff there. So I just wanted to throw that in there too. But I could see, for EA Access, it eventually getting to that point though. Like, think about it, you're paying a subscription to get into there. What if they up the price like another $5 for the subscription, but any game that comes out, you get to play preview builds and help the development. That totally makes sense for that kind of a thing. So that's kind of why I wanted to throw it in there. Alright, so now that we talked about the different programs and, the stuff that you can get into if you're interested in this kind of stuff, let's talk about some of the cons. Now, each of these, they're not free. They're all behind a paywall of some sort, whether you're paying for the game or you're paying for a subscription like EA Access. You have to pay in some capacity to do the things they're allowing you to do. And rightfully so. They're letting you play the game early, they're letting you give feedback, and you're essentially helping them with development. So, you gotta pay. The other part of this, and I think it's one of the big parts really for me as a con, is the game may never come out of early access. It honestly could get axed altogether, and you end up paying for a game that's never finished, and that kind of sucks. That's a big con, and it does happen. Another con too is playing the game over and over and over in early access before the full release. I know gamers, we move on pretty quickly to the next game, and you really have to be into Q&A and beta testing and all that stuff to, I think, get the most out of it. I've played a few of the preview programs on the Xbox and some early access on Steam and stuff like that, and eventually I lose interest in it fairly quickly. I'd say within a couple of weeks, and then I usually never go back until the full release, to see how it all turned out. So that's a big thing. You could lose interest in the game relatively quickly, and essentially, again, never come back to it, and the game may never come out anyway. So, one of the last ones I wanted to talk about is, the developers are taking a huge risk with, putting these games on early access. And I know what you're saying, it's really not a risk and stuff like that, but kind of it is. Like, if you think about it, they're putting their game out there before it's finished. So there could be a lot of negativity gears towards that, because, like, we've seen with other games that, they marketed them and they're not exactly what they say they are, and you playing the game, it's like an early access, an early build, an alpha build essentially, and it's completely broken, or things ain't working, it messes up your saves, whatever the case may be. And people go on forums and bitch and moan about it. That can negatively impact the game, and development and all that stuff. And again, that could cause the developers to be like, well, nobody likes it, everybody's bitching about it, we're not going to make any money now on it, and just can it all together. So they are taking a big risk, but that's kind of what they're getting into, so it is on them. All right, let's go ahead and get into the pros. I think one of the ultimately big things about the preview program is, or early access, whatever the case may be, is they're giving feedback to the developers to help steer the development of the game. Some of the stuff that you might suggest to them, they may not have thought of, and could make the game 100 times better, 10 times better. Like, that's fantastic. They're making a game, one, that they can make money on, and two, that gamers want to play. That's what it's all about. The other pro is 9 times out of 10, like I've said this a couple times already, you get the game cheap. I've, so far, in the ones that I was interested, I never paid full price for early access or the preview program stuff. They eventually did come out, like the Solus project and stuff, and was actually marked up higher than what I bought it for in the preview program. So that's always a good thing for gamers. Like, we buy so many games, at least I do anyway, and I'm just like, man, this is gonna hurt my wallet. It's gonna hurt my wallet. But it's nice to get a discount every once in a while. Yeah, it's not the full game at first, but you pay in early, you get that kind of a benefit. So the next pro is kind of a pro and a con. You get to play the game early, and for a lot of people that's really cool, because it's getting close to launch and you're just like, man, I wish this game would come out already. With early access and the preview program, and EA access and stuff, you get to play the game early. So that's good and bad. Like, it's an unfinished game. You might have a different opinion of playing an unfinished game that's buggy and stuff, and you might not think it's really what it is. So you can feel bad about your purchase. That's definitely a concern there. Like, the good thing is you get to play it early. If you end up enjoying it, man, you get to play the crap out of it before really anybody else does, unless they're doing the same thing that you are. So that one's a good and a bad thing. The other pro is, we kind of already stated, the development gets quick feedback about the builds and the features and everything that they're implementing into the game. I think that's great. I think, honestly, that would help development time, maybe get them a little bit of ahead of the curve. With Q&A, I don't want to say anything bad about it, but when you have the same people over and over and over again, I think it kind of gets stagnant. I think they do good, but I think, getting a game out to a bunch of different people, diversity and all that kind of stuff is a great thing. you can get much better feedback, and ultimately help the game in the end. And I think that's what they're looking for too. So, all right. So my final thoughts on early access, the preview program, EA Access. I think all in all, they're really great programs. Really positive stuff in the gaming industry. I think if you're a gamer that loves to get into beta testing and giving feedback to developers and help steering development, I think it's right up your alley. As far as the developers, I think it's great for them. They get quick feedback on the forums and whatever they set up for you to give feedback on for whatever build and features they add to the game to make it better for us, the gamers, and ultimately us buying the game. Now, is everything great with preview and early access and all that kind of stuff? No. Like I've stated before, you could pay for a game that never comes out. Like, you can literally pay for the game and that's the only build you get. They could just not update it anymore. They could just, the company can go out of business and all that kind of stuff, and that's what you're getting into. So you do need to be careful. I would definitely do some research and stuff before you go ahead and make a purchase on it. Make sure that the development team and all that kind of stuff is pretty stable, not having any kind of issues before you jump on board. As we say always on the console corner, always keep your expectations in check, and I think that's really important for the preview program. You got to remember that these are early development games. Stuff's going to be broken, stuff's not going to work. If you're going into thinking, I just get to play the game early and I don't really care about anything else, well, be careful what you wish for, because it's probably not going to be the game that you think it's going to be, at least at that point. So be wary of that. Do your research, keep your expectations in check. Well, that's it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the Drive to Work discussion. Again, big thanks to Chicken for the topic. I know he loves the preview program, and that's really awesome. So I'm glad I could talk about it. I don't think we give it enough discussion time on the podcast and all that kind of stuff. So I'm glad I took time out to go ahead and talk about this for him. If you did like this video and you want to continue seeing more of the vlogs, please hit that like button. We would really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below, guys. Do you think the preview program, early access, and all that kind of stuff is good for the industry as a whole? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it needs some revisions? Let me know all that kind of stuff. Again, this series is all about us having a discussion, and I want to hear you guys' point of views. Again, this is GKB, aka the Governor. I will see you in the next one, and as always, take care of your fellow gamers.